A busy week in Washington as lawmakers tackle disaster relief and we enter the home stretch for the midterms. CBS congressional correspondent Scott MacFarlane joins us to discuss it all. And Scott, talk about hurricane relief and disaster money, that it's run out and Congress is paralyzed. What a surprise in getting new aid approved. Problem for hurricane zones and impacted by summer storms and wildfires. Just where do we stand on this right now?
This is a problem, and it's going to grow over the next few weeks. Just imagine this was Hurricane Sandy again, and that people couldn't get their government loans to start rebuilding their houses or rebuilding their businesses. That's the reality for those impacted by Hurricanes Helene and Hurricane Milton. The U.S. Small Business Administration, which is otherwise an obscure federal agency, is really prominent after hurricanes. That's the agency that helps small businesses and homeowners get those quick loans going so they can rebuild and restore. The Small Business Administration ran out of its disaster money earlier this week. They've been raising red flags about it to get Congress to come back and approve new money, but Congress is not coming back before the election. They've been insistent on that. So until mid-November, no new loans to those impacted by those hurricanes or the next natural disasters that come between now and mid-November.
Oh, unbelievable, Scott. To other topics now. We're only a few days away from the election, 18 days away, and we've got preparations, though, meetings, political strategies to prevent a repeat of the chaos that happened on January 6th. What is being done and what can be done to prevent another scene like that? That would seem to be very unique, what happened back then.
There's hopes that it's a one-time thing and not a future thing. But CBS News has learned a group of U.S. House Democrats have been meeting across the street from the Capitol regularly, planning out scenarios for post-election unrest, disruption, or election challenges, ensuring there's proper security, first of all, around the Capitol complex. And it's since been designated a national security event, January 6th. There'll be fencing, there'll be federal guards around the complex. The risk is minimal. But what these Democrats, including New York Congressman Joe Morelli, tell me is that they're planning for what happens if, say, there's no Speaker of the House chosen by January 6th. Can they count the electoral votes? What if there are legal challenges to those ballots on January 6th? What are the responses from Democrats and from congressional leaders? These are the types of things they're planning for now that in previous years they would think impossible. But after January 6, 2021, Dick, everything seems possible.
That's absolutely right, Scott. All right, one of my favorite topics, the midterm elections in terms of these local congressional races that, as you know and I know, are so important to which way the House may go. We understand that CBS News has some memos that the parties are targeting these local races.
Not just Long Island, it's Hudson Valley and it's central New York, all of which have competitive U.S. House races, and the balance of power of the U.S. House goes right through New York and could be decided strictly in New York. So yeah, they're getting a lot of attention. Campaign memos and meetings conducted by CBS News over the past 72 hours show there is a concern about fundraising. Democrats far outraising Republicans, even Democratic challengers, outraising Republican incumbents in some New York races. Concern among Republicans about that. But the incumbents are not taking this lightly. We know, for example, Mark Molinaro, who represents one of those upstate districts, is doing a tour of all 11 of his counties in one day next week, next Wednesday, trying to get more face time with the constituents to overcome some of these monetary issues some of the campaigns are having. I'll also add this, from both parties, Dick, they have this understanding that the advertisements have reached their saturation point. Throwing more ads on the air may not be a solution to anything. There are other ways to try to do outreach, door-to-door, canvassing, neighbor-to-neighbor. That might be a bigger focus over the final 18 days.
All right, down the stretch they come, as we like to say. Scott MacFarlane, CBS News congressional correspondent, we thank you so much for your time on this Friday afternoon.